Sahana Vavadu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhidamastu ma Vidyushavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Swami Vishnudevananda was committed to peace because I think he had the experience of inner peace. And from his point of view, inner peace was no different from outer peace.
First you have to find inner peace, inner light, then only we can have external peace and external light.
He started centers, he trained teachers, he went places, he went beyond what the law, what the man-made law states about boundaries and about that. We all think that. We think that the birds can fly, why can't we? He did it.
Extraordinary man and heart filled with love for all humanity.
Swamiji was full, it had the strongest will imaginable, but with that vision of unity.
Swami Vishnudevananda's life was dedicated to peace. This dedication arose out of a deep realization that peace is not just a state of warlessness. It is an inner experience of oneness and self-knowledge.
I think he actually felt other people's pain. So to ask him, why would you try to ease the pain of others, it's just an unthinkable thing. You know, it's unthinkable not to try and help from his point of view.
When Swami Vishnu came to the West, he became very aware of the mental, emotional suffering that was happening in the West. And what this translated to was to be able to bring peace.
How you get peace is by becoming the part of, it's a Zen thing, part of the whole. It's a connection, and he felt the connection.
Swamiji realized that the members of modern society need a means of spiritualizing their daily lives. To enable them to tap the inner fountain of peace, he prescribed yoga and meditation.
Now, yoga offers a method, a system which brings both physical and mental development, and this science is known as yoga, or yogic way of living. Om Namah Sivaya, Om Namah Sivaya, Om Namah Sivaya, Om Namah Sivaya.
Around 1969, Swamiji set up an organization called True World Order.
TW means True World Order, is to bring unity in diversity. We cannot have one type of religious leader for all the humanity, or one type of political leader, or any other form of leaders. Yet, if we accept that unity can be found in the diversity, there will be peace in this world. For this, TWO uses the technique or science of yoga for self-mastery and self-discipline. The motto of the TW is the individual must find peace within before we can find the peace outside.
I think peace is very difficult to achieve because we tend to try and impose peace. We tell people you have to be peaceful. You see, so we're working from the top down. Whereas I think once we have the idea that we have to work from the bottom, from inside the people, we have to teach them techniques for finding peace within themselves. See? And then that starts to radiate out. I think it's the only way it's achievable.
Swamiji gave a beautiful example of being able to transform society is not a question of revolution. He says it's a question of evolution.
Swamiji used to have a story that he told all the time. And he used to say, suppose I have a piece of cloth.
This cloth is made up of cotton, and each thread is cotton thread. So by using that cotton thread, it became a cotton cloth. If I want to change this cloth into silk, then every thread must be changed. Then only I will have a silk cloth. So cloth is nothing but the thread. So the universe is nothing but the individuals like you and me. Until we know what that inner peace is, we will not be able to bring the world peace.
And that thread by thread process is a process of each person taking responsibility for the peace, their own inner peace, as well as the outer peace in their environment.
The first program of the True World Order was the Shivananda Yoga Teachers Training Course, which has as its stated purpose to train the future leaders of the world in techniques for finding peace. So, who's the leader of the world? Like, we always think it's the president, the prime minister, people like this. But actually, everyone can be a leader. Right? Anyone who has a certain experience can teach other people that experience.
Swamiji felt that if the people running the world had the means to undertake the inner journey, they would fight the only war worth fighting, the one with one's own mind.
The yoga means union between the individual and the supreme, and there are several definitions are there. Main definition is union between the individual and the supreme. Other definition is yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Raja Yoga says yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is controlling and subjugation of the mental modifications. Modifications are something like the waves, the ocean and the waves. The ocean is made up of water, but waves also made up of water. And there is no difference between ocean and the wave, but the waves are the modification of the ocean. Same way, the mind is the ocean, and there is modification or waves called thought waves. These thought waves disturb our peace of mind in continuous thoughts, various types of negative thoughts, positive thoughts, neutral thoughts, and they're continuously pouring into the mind. First, students are taught how to remove the negative thoughts and neutral thoughts and put with the sublime thoughts, and eventually he controls all thoughts and go beyond the thought, and then the mind will become like a lake or an ocean without waves, and he finds tranquility.
In the tradition of his teacher, Swami Shivananda, Swami Vishnudevananda knew that a true hero is one who can overcome greed, hatred, and jealousy.
Why did Swami start to teach a training course? Swami could not start to teach a training course. It was all part of the program. It was all part of the plan. He had to plant the little seed. So that seed was his teacher training course.
He invited people from all around the world to come together and learn yoga together. And that was first to be able to break down those barriers.
Not only did Swamiji connect his teacher trainees to Swami Shivanandaji, his master, to God itself, if you wish, but he connected us to one another. Because when we were in yoga camp with the teacher trainees, or with Dren, or with Dr. Teitelbaum, or with Swami Sharadanandaji, you've got more flavors than Baskin Robbins. I mean, they are people from every part of the world. This summer I was up in Canada. We had 143 teacher trainees from every part of the earth. I happened to be teaching one of the exercise classes. There's a guy lying on the floor. He's got a t-shirt on. I like to read the t-shirt when I'm teaching the class. He had a t-shirt on that said, Shivananda Yoga, Beirut, Lebanon. And I've seen a lot of stuff, but I freaked.
Swamiji started the first yoga teachers training course in 1969. Swamiji started giving the course in Valmorin in Quebec, and now we have several courses a year in Quebec, in Bahamas, 2 in India, in California, New York, Israel, South America. Right, so we train people from all over the world, all walks of life, all different types of people.
So we especially came up to be with you all, as this is not something like an ordinary pop festival where you don't see the promoters. They are somewhere, collected the money behind and then gone, you know. Here we are part of we are listeners, we are audience, we are talkers, we are players, we can ask everything. And that's why Swami is all Swami's life. You know, we are not separate from you all in any way, nor we feel that we are great teachers or gurus to initiate and to bless you and take you to the heaven. That's not the way our master Swami Shivananda taught us. He asked us to be simple, to be one with the humanity, and we are trying our level best.
Although teaching yoga was a central theme of his life, Swamiji felt the need to take more direct action. And this is where the peace plane arrives on the scene. It was painted by the American artist Peter Max.
Swami called me up a few months ago and asked me if I would like to decorate his plane, and he would do a boundary-breaking trip. For many weekends, I met Swami Vishnu once in Fort Lauderdale and once in Washington and once in New York City. And each time at the airport, we had a tremendous gathering of people, and we would decorate the plane. So, taking it through the whole United States, we decorated the plane from airport to airport, each time a little more. With this beautiful bird, fully decorated in cosmic designs, you know, which emanate joy and bliss and hope. And he calls it the plane of hope. And he's going to break the boundaries, you know, in a good sense.
Where are boundaries? Do you know? Have you seen any boundaries? Where are boundaries? What makes the boundaries? Have you ever asked yourselves, what makes the boundaries?
All these man-made barriers are nonsense. God made one world.
It's just a mental creation. Someone took a pencil and a map and drew a line.
So what causes these boundaries, these divisions? Potatoes jumping out of the same bowl. We all get together, sit together, eat the same potatoes, and a little later the potato that went into this mouth becomes this mouth, yeah? And the potato that goes into that mouth becomes that mouth, and a little later he starts shouting at me, why is that this potato is shouting at this potato? It is the human mind that is prejudiced, that is conditioned, that is stupid and that is foolish, and that converts potato into predestination. It is that foolish human mind that converts potatoes into bullets.
Swamiji wanted to draw people's attention to the fact that these are man-made boundaries, mental creations, and that they can be overcome.
So he created a passport of his own. One world citizenship passport.
This is the passport that Swamiji had Peter Max design, and Swamiji used to fly with this as his only passport. And he got into every country except France.
The peace plane was a concrete, crystallized idea. Swamiji's ideas were just the very essence through which, like a bird, flying in different direction, for different borders, for different country, without any passport.
People should be able to go wherever they like. There shouldn't be these boundaries.
Swamiji's peace plane was an image, was an icon for freedom.
Imagine a plane like that flying over people that are fighting. See, maybe Swamiji also had the idea that they wouldn't feel it as a threat. You know, you see something beautiful and you just look at it. You want to look at it. And it doesn't look in any way as though it's going to harm you.
It was in this plane that Swamiji began his boundary-breaking peace mission. He flew from place to place, ignoring international boundaries, flying into war zones, dropping flowers and leaflets.
Asked if he had anybody to help him fly the plane. He said, stick around. And then at the end of the summer, he said that I was gone. And my preparation consisted primarily of calling people who had done this sort of thing, made long-range trips.
He didn't know the word impossible.
people said you can't go without a visa, you don't have enough fuel, that airplane is not sufficiently equipped, it doesn't have the right navigation equipment, the right radios, etc. to make the trip. The airplane is not capable of flying the distances and over the terrain that you're planning on, etc., etc., etc.
The first place he flew from Canada to London, and he picked up Peter Sellers. And he flew with Peter Sellers over Belfast, dropping leaflets, dropping flowers. So when they landed the plane at the airport in Belfast, the authorities came to arrest whoever was in the plane.
At which point, Peter Sellers started doing his Swami imitation, which I wish I had on videotape. It was very, very funny. They cracked up, they asked for his autograph, everything was okay.
First I was in Belfast with Peter Sellers. I flew, he was my co-pilot, and then from there he flew to Tel Aviv to Cairo.
So when Swamiji took off from Tel Aviv to fly over the Suez Canal, he had to file a false flight plan. So he had to say he was going to Nicosia because it was illegal to fly over the Suez Canal.
The week we were in Tel Aviv, 2 airplanes were shot down.
And he said, even if he was going to be shot down, he says, well, if I'm shot down now, I'll go a little earlier than you. And so many people have died in the name of war. I'm willing to put my life on the line for peace.
So he took off and changed direction. And as soon as they saw him changing direction, he got a call on the radio from the flight tower saying, you have to change direction, you're going the wrong way, immediately change direction. And Swamiji just kept going. And they said, you have orders to turn back.
He said, I have orders from higher up. So
they sent a plane after him.
He was flying not very far away. I mean, the wingtips were maybe that far, like Blue Angels or something. Then he went like this, which was pretty clear. And Swamiji gave me a flower to hold up. It was a rose. So I held that up, and the guy goes like this. And he swoops under to Swami's side.
And I was almost shot down by Israeli planes and Egyptian planes. But I all defeated with a marigold flower. When the Israeli plane came to shoot me, I said, I opened my window and threw a marigold flower at him. That's why I defeated him.
When Swamiji first mentioned that he was going to fly over the Berlin Wall, we all didn't take it too seriously because it seemed to be such a big event, and nobody really could imagine that it was going to be feasible because the situation in those days politically was so thick.
The world is in topsy-turvy condition, and our leaders are taking us to bring the ultimate destruction of this planet Earth. So we are just demonstrating to draw the attention of the humanity.
But do you actually think anyone will take very much notice?
That's exactly we are trying to show, because many people try to draw the attention of the humanity by violence, by bombing, by terrorists blowing up the houses, etc. But we are trying to show by peaceful means.
This weekend, Swami Vishnu plans to risk his own life to show how much he's in earnest about peace. He'll fly this microlight aircraft across the symbolic front line of East and West, the Berlin Wall. It sounds like a suicide mission.
But the danger we have to take anyhow, because the whole world is going to be destroyed. So what one person, if I die, it's not going to make much difference, because they are going to destroy the entire world. Within 20 minutes, in 6 minutes, there will be no Europe left. 20 minutes, the entire planet is gone, 90% of the population.
Do you expect to survive that trip across the border yourself?
If I survive, I'm fine. If I am not survive, because I'm going a little earlier, and you will follow me later on.
People will obviously be entertained by what you're doing, but in the end, don't you think they'll dismiss you as some sort of crank?
Well, that's what, when the people bomb the houses, bomb embassies, and destroy the planes, etc., and bring the bomb, then it's not crazy. When I bring flowers, cross borders with flowers, not with guns, then people call crazy, then they are crazy. I'm not crazy.
He used a much smaller plane, an ultralight plane.
It can be taken apart and reassembled in a backyard, and requires very little distance to take off. So, upon a very cold, misty, early morning, they went upon a hillside, unpacked it, and then reassembled it. And silently
So he flew over the Berlin Wall. Remember that time they were shooting people who tried to go over. He actually flew under the radar. They couldn't see him with the radar. The guards that were posted should have been able to see him, except it turned out that that day was very foggy. He knew he wanted to fly east, so he flew towards the rising sun.
And he landed in a field. When this plane landed in a field, some farmer came running, started talking. He gave him some flowers.
The farmer pulled him out of the mud, right? Said he would help him, he wouldn't call the police. And Swamiji said, no, you have to call the police, because if the police don't come, if there's no report, then there's no purpose in the mission. The police came, they arrested Swamiji, they started to question him.
They sent him back because he said, I have a peace festival going on in West Berlin, I have to rush. So they put him on the S-Bahn, on the local train with a cheese sandwich, and he just arrived on time.
After the successful crossing of the Berlin Wall, a telegram was sent out to all major leaders of the world. Quote, Swami Vishnudevananda has today successfully flown over the wall from West to East Berlin in a symbolic bid for world peace. By this mission, he has shown that it is only man-made boundaries that separate East from West, nation from nation, and man from man. Only when we recognize the unity of mankind will there be any hope of universal peace.
Serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. Be good, do good, be kind, be compassionate. Serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. Be good, do good, be kind, be compassionate. Adapt, adjust, accommodate. Bear insult, bear injury, highest sadhana. Adapt, adjust, accommodate. Bear insult, bear injury, highest sadhana. This is his main teachings, and we are following his teachings, and we are trying to bring unity in diversity using the yogic discipline and yogic life.
Swami Vishnudevananda's life was a mission in itself.
He flew with a mission. He wanted to bring the message of peace to all places.
He worked continuously for the greater good of humanity and never missed an opportunity to teach.
Whatever he knew, we knew. And because he was generous with his information.
His work was an expression of the deep love he had for the entire world.
So he saw the whole world as his family, and he felt the need to help his family and to work for peace.
Well, it was a great example for us and for all of us as inspiration, as a great world teacher. And I don't think even today we're able to assess how much, how deep his work went.
By knowing him, you knew Shivananda. By knowing Shivananda, you knew God. And that was his teaching. And we caught it like the measles.
Although he left the body in 1993, the spirit of his message continues to be honored by the Shivananda organization. In the summer of 1999, the Shivananda Yoga organization inaugurated the Swami Vishnudevananda Peace Trail at its headquarters in Valmarin, Quebec, Canada. This was the focal point of the Into the 21st Century Peace Festival. Representatives from many traditions gathered to pay homage to Swamiji's legacy of peace.
Have you all seen this before? Or something like it? We wear it because of the four fringes. And this is actually in the Torah, in the Bible. And the Bible says in order to remember I ask the question, to remember what? But the Four Fringes are a reminder that God's children live on the four corners of the world. Some of them are white, some of them are black, some of them are red, some of them are Jews, some of them are Muslims, Hindus, Protestants, whatever. Love them all if you want to talk to them now.
In an array of cultural, racial and religious diversity, people gathered in the beautiful Laurentian mountains to express their oneness and honor that invisible thread that binds all life together. A central theme of the event was the peace pole, carved by local Native Americans in the shamanic tradition of their elders.
The peace pole is actually an idea started by an organization called the World Peace Prayer Society. It was started in Japan, I think around 1955. Their idea is to plant a symbol, of peace, and within that peace pole they put the prayers of various people.
The prayer, "May peace prevail on earth," was emblazed on it in many different languages. The organization felt that the peace pole reflected the positive intention behind Swamiji's Om Namo Narayanaya mantra bank. He established it in 1987 in a natural rock cave in the Himalayan mountains. Billions of mantras have been written by peace-loving devotees and deposited there. The Peace Festival marked the beginning of the Shivananda Millennium World Peace Pilgrimage.
We have events going all around the world to various centers over a period of 18 months.
Swamiji always had a vision of the 21st century and the next. He was always speaking of what are we going to provide for the next generation, our children and the progeny that's going to follow.
We have to have a life which is not merely external, it also must be internal. Inner awakening must take place, because in order to survival of the world is very difficult. By year 2000 we may not survive if the people won't actually take a positive step in their life. So this is to show the humanity that we can have a positive life and bring the humanity in a higher conscious level, not a lower conscious level, you see.
As we enter the new millennium, the Shivananda Yoga Centers are planning a series of international events at various locations around the world. This is a pilgrimage that invites each person to recognize the divinity within him or herself, to give expression to the highest form of love, which is unification, not separation. Lokastamasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May the whole world find peace and happiness.
How's the Congress going?
Oh, Congress is beautiful. Our staffs are marvelous. Everyone is working hard except Swami Vishnu, who is lying in the hammock and enjoying his life.